So now I will turn it over to Kevin and his team to give some background and to get started. Over to you, Kevin.
Thank you. Yes, I'm Kevin Esau with Contigo Solutions out of Calgary. Just a bit about my background. I've spent the last 30 years, I guess, in the IT field. Before that, I was actually just a few courses away from a CMA designation. So I kind of understand the coming at it from a financial point of view as well, quite well. And so, yeah, we just want to talk to you today about cybersecurity. Yeah, are you ready for it? And are you using a layered approach to this? You know, and you sometimes you think, oh, there's, you know, all these scams out there. How are they getting through? But as you can see by the cartoon, that you know, there's always somebody in every organization who's willing to click or hasn't had their coffee that morning or whatever, that's willing to click in and be you know, give away information they shouldn't. A little bit about Contigo. We're a Calgary-based organization with field offices and support Canada-wide. We really have learned how to provision secure cloud-based solutions for different organizations, including municipalities, and helping you, you know, give your users the information they need while protecting it as well. We have what we call our software rescue, which a lot of organizations have a software piece of software out there that somebody's written that they've lost the developer, or nobody knows what it's supposed to do anymore, but it's still important in the organization. We can come in and rescue those types of applications and continue on the support for you, or migrate to more modern environments as well. And we partner with top tier security vendors to provide you solutions that will help you keep your organization safe and secure. You know, a lot of the security risks are about knowing what the risks are. And then we're going to be talking through those today. You know, I mean, you've heard it a lot of times. Do you have great passwords? Knowing what passwords you have, and what, you know, the information that's out there that's protected by those passwords. What's in your email, and then who are you talking to as well, and who are you sharing information with? That's one of those things that people don't necessarily think about. When we look at hacks and security break risks out there, there's different categories where they will enter into the system. They can be an email connection where you know, get an email in, you click on a link, and away it goes. It can be just browser based, where you're browsing through, searching for materials. It can be phone based, where somebody phones you up and just tries to get more information. And that actually kind of links with the bottom one, which is social engineering, where people are trying to, you know, talk you into giving away more information than you should. Some of the security issues are network based, where either your Wi-Fi network is open to the world, or there's some application out there that's visible from the world to the world that's not updated with patches and protected. Even USB keys being dropped on the ground. Do your staff know to, you know, do they pick them up and just plug them into their computer to see what's on them, or do they know to be protected? And the focus is of these hacks can be either to break your systems, to get your data, to get your credentials, to get your banking data, and that's become a very important one, to be able to hold and ransom your information, or just disrupt your service. Just as we go along here, like what you were told earlier, if you want to ask questions, please feel free to jump in and ask as you go. So So Canadian municipalities have been in the news over the last while, and there's been a number of hacks. And I've kind of tried to keep the actual organization names out. So if it's one of your organizations, hopefully you're recovered from these situations. This one was a ransomware group that basically took 800 gigs of personal information, databases, email dumps, passwords, etc., and basically said, we're going to be selling this within the next 7 days if you don't pay our ransom. And so not only did they take that information, but they were offering out there for anyone who wanted to buy it. This was another one based on the results of an ongoing investigation. Town administrators say there's a risk that some personal information of town employees may have been accessed by unauthorized third party. So, and one of the challenge in these kinds of things is that being able to protect your information, and also being able to, or having to disclose when that information is taken. Another one here, county officials and politicians remain tight-lipped about the cyber disruption that rendered the government website and email system inactive for weeks. So, you know, if you're hacked and if you're attacked, just so know that, you know, sometimes it's not overnight that you can get back and recovered and working again, depending on how they've hacked, how many, if they've corrupted the backups, et cetera, you know, what the risks are there. And then you've probably heard of this one. Last week, the province acknowledged that at the end of October, unnamed hackers accessed what it called basic admitting information of the hospital patients, as well as current and former employee data for 3 of its 4 health units, health districts. So, you know, this basically took a health system and basically put them back to using paper charts and hand delivering images of, or scans and everything to their staff from being completely automated. There's other examples of hacks. You know, McCune University, they had a well-documented issue where they changed the pay routing, and I believe there was a loss of $11 million where they actually paid out to the wrong vendor because somebody had called in and said, you know, here's my new bank account number, please update it. So there's, you know, an engineering company we know of that had their data encrypted, and they ended up having to not only rebuild their environments, but they actually had to pay for the data because they didn't have backups offsite that they expected they would have. And I think, and this is one of the issues right now. You know, about 3 years ago, the average ransomware attack was around the $15,000 to $20,000 mark. It's currently around the $200,000 to $250,000 mark for major ransomware events, potentially even higher. And I'm sure you remember your Government of Canada tax account may have got compromised, and the government is still watching, you know, information for identity theft that may have happened as a cause of that hack. So today we're focusing more on your municipality and how do we protect that. And we're going to look at 3 areas: protecting your information, protecting your environment, and protecting your industrial tools. And sometimes we don't think about that last one enough. So protecting your information, what's private and confidential? First of all, protecting it through backups. Do you have backups on site? Do you have a tape drive that runs or something like that? you actually have backups that are going offsite that are either cloud storage or something like that, that keeps that information safe and protected. And also, are you, if you're starting to use cloud applications for your environment, are you actually making sure that these cloud applications are backed up as well? Even things like QuickBooks Online, they don't really guarantee that they have, they can go back a few months if things have been corrupted and changed. They could restore you to that last day. And if they had a big enough outage, they may not even be able to do that. So knowing where your information is and where your key apps are is important. There's a chat in the chat window. Is there anything important I need to check there? No, I guess not.
Nope, sorry, it was just me offering instructions on how to pose questions.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. So protecting your information and protecting it from a privacy point of view. Are you preventing your users from getting access to documents they shouldn't have access to? Is the HR directory protected and locked off? Is customer information secured to only those people that need access to it? Also, do you have tools in place where somebody can see some information? Is there anything that prevents them from sharing it? And there's tools in place to basically monitor and watch that to make sure that either they can't, plug in a USB key to copy some data offsite, or they can't email something that's not part of their regular business routine. And protecting your processes. We talked earlier about the routing information or the bank information that got changed in the university, in McCune University in Edmonton. Do you know your processes? If can somebody call in and say, "Oh, just please update my bank information," and will somebody just do that? Or do you have a process in place to block that? And is your staff trained on those lists and checklists to make sure that those things are happening? For a bank type of issue or changing a bank account, do you actually phone the company back through a company or the publicly published phone number on their website so that you know that you're connecting to the right company in the right area before you make changes like that? So to protecting your environment, and we'll talk a little bit more about your your physical environment, your servers, your networks, your desktops, etc. Though, are those devices protected? So what does that mean? Are you using next generation firewalls that actually actively monitor the traffic going in out and actually look for suspicious activity? Do you use VPN tunnels to access data, or do you just let people connect into their workstations from home? Are your staff doing, operating system patches and updates, not only on the servers, but on the network gear as well? Because sometimes those devices have issues as well, and they're well documented that there's problems and issues. And do you have anti-spam and anti-spyware protection on your email as it comes in? Are you protecting that data before it flows into your environment? So the real key to understanding if you're doing all of those things is to have what's called a security fabric in place. And we're just going to watch a quick video from one of our vendors here.
Digital innovation is accelerating across all industries and markets as companies invest to differentiate themselves. However, this also increases a company's risk. The digital attack surface is much broader across endpoints, network edges, and the cloud. Data breaches and ransomware continue to increase in sophistication. With Fortinet trusts you are protected everywhere your people, devices, and data are. Fortinet offers broad visibility across the entire attack surface, an integrated platform to reduce management complexity, and automation for fast and efficient operations. Fortinet, making possible a digital world you can always trust.
So yeah, this security fabric that they're talking about, or the protecting across the networks. These are network devices that can actually talk to the rest of the environment and look at desktops to see if they're patched properly. They can look at firewalls to make sure that no suspicious activity has come through. It can look at events happening on your server. If it looks like encryption is going on, they can actually alert and protect against those kinds of things. So yeah, having a full fabric in place that kind of watches over your environment is a critical part. And if you need more information about that, we can definitely talk you through what you can do to protect yourself there. So when you look at the user level, you actually require strong passwords for your users. And if you require strong passwords, do you give them a password manager or a tool that can amalgamate a bunch of different passwords and still keep that protected? That's very important. Are you using multi-factor authentication? And in some ways, we get sometimes pushback from clients that don't want to do this. This because, you log in, you're putting your user ID password, well, then you have to look up another code on a phone. But that kind of a protection in place drastically reduces the risk from your accounts getting compromised. Even email accounts, if they have to have that code before they can log in, they can get your password, but they can't get past that. For your front office staff, do you have screen locking or viewer protection in place? If somebody walked beside, up to your front desk, could they kind of peer around the corner and take a look at what's on a screen and what's visible there? And is there ways to protect that? And there's devices that you can just put on screens that they're only visible straight on and not at an angle. And of course, the antivirus, anti-spyware software on your local desktop as well. One of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that when these companies like LinkedIn, like Facebook, Capital One, all of these different companies, when they get hacked, often the target is user IDs and passwords. So if you're using the same user ID and password on all your different accounts, if that information is published out there, then people can use that to get into your different accounts and compromise those passwords. So yeah, it's important to do what's called a dark web search to look at that and see what compromises are out there, and get updated on what information is being sold in the dark web so that you're protected. So when you're protecting your environment, a big part of that is training. Do your staff know what to look for when there's potential issue? If there is somebody walking behind you, is there somebody, are you just going to be friendly and let them through the door, even though it's you're walking into a secured area? Are you, all of those pieces, right? When you get spyware or links in your emails, do you know if you should click on that link or not, and how to verify that and what that looks like behind the scenes? Can you look at the email addresses and look at the behind the scenes email address and see if it's actually coming from the person that you thought it was supposed to? And a good training program can do what are called phishing tests, where we send out information and just test your users on a regular basis. Or it can also be training where it actually shows the different environments and keeps your staff up to date with that kind of environment. So, the questions to ask: were you expecting an email from this person? Is this the right email address? Is the link actually right? So if the link says Microsoft.com and you hover over it and underneath it says a different domain name, is that, do you know what to look for and what to protect yourself? And is it asking you to log in? Because often when you click on a link, if it's immediately asking for credentials, verify where you're going and what you're looking at before you just move ahead and click on something. And in protecting yourself, from social engineering. And social engineering is basically somebody trying to talk their way past you and get that information. And do your staff know your IT processes? Do they know not to give out passwords? Are they willing to challenge requests for information if they're getting it over the phone? And do they know what's confidential and why? So I'm just going to give you a quick example here. This is a video that kind of explains a little bit more of what can happen and how that an environment can be compromised. Oh.
So I invited a few of the world's best hackers to try to hack me and show me where my vulnerabilities are. And now I'm going to meet them in Las Vegas for DEF CON, the biggest hacker convention of the year. They're going to hack me using social engineering, which is essentially hacking without any code. They just use a phone and an internet connection.
You want to do a sample phishing call?
What's phishing?
Phishing is voice solicitation. And basically what you do is you use the phone to extract information or data points that can be used in a later attack.
Let's do it. Who are you going to call?
Maybe I'll call your cell phone provider and see if I can get them to give me your email address.
I bet they're good. I bet they have my back. But yeah, go for it.
I'm going to spoof from your number, so it's going to look like it's calling from you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me okay? My baby, I'm sorry. my husband's like, we're about to apply for a loan and we just had a baby and he's like, get this done by today. So I'm so sorry. I can't call you back. I'm trying to log into our account for uses information and I can't remember what email address we used to log the account. The baby's crying and can you help me? Awesome.
In just 30 seconds,
At gmail.com.
Jessica gets access to my personal email address.
Now, if I needed to add our older daughter on our account so she could call in and make changes, how would I need to go about doing that? You would have to send me a secure PIN through a text message? Yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't think I'll be able to receive a text message if I'm on the phone. Oh, I'm not on there either? So I thought when we got married, he added me to the account.
Jess uses my girlfriend's name and a fake social security number
5127.
to set up her own personal access to my account.
Wait, I'm sorry. So there's no password on my account right now? Can I set that up?
She even gets the support person to change my password.
Thank you so much for your help today.
So she just basically blocked me out of my own account.
I'll get her fed after this. All right. Thank you.
Holy shit. So they just gave you access to my entire cell phone account.
You're going to have to go on and change your password now because it's Jess, my name.
And all it took was a crying baby and a phone call.
Yeah.
So as you can see, it's very easy for somebody to talk their way past somebody who's just trying to be helpful. And that's one of those dangers. And what I usually ask at this point is, can you think back over the last few weeks or months and think of some phone calls that just didn't quite feel right? And what information may have you given away? So the final stage we want to talk about is protecting your industrial tools. And sometimes we don't necessarily think, well, there's nothing out there. It's just a building that hosts the pumps that run the sewer system or the water pipes or whatever. But what we often don't realize is there's computer systems in place on those systems, environmental control, SCADA systems that allow your users to control that information. So this is a book I read recently, and it's about the hack in Ukraine in 2016. And so it's really relevant to what's happening today. And what they did is they threw up malware into their environments and actually changed the controllers on their power system to get questions or get configuration from a website rather than from the local environment. And with that, they were able to actually turn the power system almost completely off in Ukraine for a number of days. And just the overflow of some of those viruses caused billions of damage in that environment. If you want to kind of look through and learn about an interesting way that hackers have gained access to environments, it's a really interesting read. I'm sure you've also heard about colonial pipelines that were compromised. So in 29, or just last year, April 29th, they got access to the Colonial Pipelines network. And basically they had found it through one of those leaked passwords out there that somebody was just reusing a password. And so that information was set up. They got into an account where the VPN was disabled. And the end result was that Colonial shut down that environment for a number of days, causing fuel shortages and a lot of damage just in economic terms to the environment, just because they were protecting themselves from further damage before they would get hacked. So when you look at that, think about whether or not your control systems are segregated and secured from the rest of your network. Has ease of management replaced hardened security protocols? And is it actually difficult for somebody to log in and connect over to that? Or is it just an easy thing to do and somebody can connect through? Is there physical access controls to stop access to a building? Is there a single key access, or is there a card key system that potentially is run from the main office, where you could actually get your main office compromised and then get access to your control systems? Are you doing things like security cameras and security patrols to protect that information? And again, would somebody notice if somebody were to tailgate behind them? If somebody had a box of books or their hands full, would somebody just be nice and let them into the building, or do they know that's a secured environment and that they would protect that space? Also, do you have independent firewalls, separation of networks so that information can't just get transferred back? And if you're just doing that updates and patches through a USB, is it actually, do we know that the USB is being scanned so that it can't accidentally bring a virus across when somebody's delivering that information? And finally, are your control systems updated with the latest patches? Are the control systems on your network? Do they systems that are the computer that controls those systems, is that separated or is that on just your public network? Like, do you have control system patching? With most control type systems, there's lots of bulletins that go out because the control companies are worried about those hacks happening. And so are you doing those patches or looking for those patches and those notifications? And are you applying those patches on a regular basis? And that might mean bringing down control systems and shutting things down so that you can update these patches on a timely basis. And are you testing that security? Are you doing penetration tests, validation of security protocols and processes? Do you actually test those things? Have you tried a social engineering type test and actually made your users, get calls from people to see if they would give up that information? Are there security and checks in place for staff that have access to critical information as well? So what Contigo offers for these types of environments is, to start off with, we do what's called a security maturity assessment. Basically, we do a walkthrough of all your practices. We kind of walk through with both technical staff and management staff to see if the pieces are in place to keep your environment secure and if you're doing all of the best practices. This also comes with a management recommendations report, and usually it's a $1,200 service that we offer. For the next 90 days, we're offering it for $9.99, and you can use that code when you mention that when you call in to request that kind of a service. We also offer user training and testing. That phishing tests, any customized training if you're using specific apps that are different from other organizations. We can provide materials for ongoing reminders, and we can basically set up a demo for you and to see what that kind of environment will look like. And then we also partner with tier 1 vendors, both firewall and security software vendors, to provide you great solutions that can do an overall protection of your environment. And we can offer those just as the tools, or we can offer those as services that you to help you monitor and do those information. And that final piece is that security monitoring, that security fabric. Do you have that in place? We have tools that can, share knowledge across your environment, isolate compromised systems immediately, and then you can go in later and figure out what happened, and then forensics to protect against future environments and issues that you might run into. If you run into any issues, or if you want to think about that, feel free to reach out to us. Our information is on the screen for how to connect with us. Hopefully you guys are keeping secure and safe in your environments.
Thanks for watching our webinar. If you're interested to learn more about risks and how to protect your organization, please reach out to us at contigogroup.ca.